So, ladies and gentlemen, we love this part of the program where we get to hear a live testimonial. They're very emotional oftentimes, and for the most part, life-changing. I'm going to introduce a dear friend of mine. He is a colonel, former colonel in the Army. He is a former retired medical doctor, pediatrician, and you're also a deacon in the Catholic Church. Robert Walker, we are so privileged and honored to have you. Come on, share your story. What was going on in your body before Mr. Peter Gordon introduced you to X39? And tell us what's going on now. I think it's going to be a powerful, powerful moment. Robert?
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate being able to tell my story. My story started back in 2006. I was in active practice here in Memphis after I left active duty and eventually retired from the reserves. But I developed acute myelogenous leukemia. So I was working one day and the next day I wasn't working. And I went to Vanderbilt University in Nashville. And I was up there after my adult stem cell transplant from my brother's stem cells that they stimulated out of his bone marrow. And so we stayed 5 months up in Nashville till I became what's known as all donor. So all my blood, lymphocytes and lymph nodes, everything was exchanged from me to my brother. So I now have my brother's blood. And one of the things that happens after you get a stem cell transplant is that you get something known as GVHD, or graft versus host disease. The graft is the adult stem cells that he gave me that went to my bone marrow and then started building new blood. Well, that those new cells are not exactly 100% yours, so they began to damage with an autoimmune reaction something in your body. So I got some dry eyes and the thing called bronchiectasis in my lungs, which is a mild form of COPD. So I was sort of in a bad shape. I had Xopenex and Pulmicort, it's a bronchodilator and a steroid that I use twice a day, and I still do that until recently. Um, but the whole experience left me very emaciated and weak. So I did go to Lourdes with the Order of Malta, and the Lord stepped into my life at that time um, when I got into the baths at Lourdes, and I got better. And I came back and I started pumping iron again for the first time. So I got a lot better after I went to Lourdes. And I rocked along fairly well until I had a triple bypass in 2014, which left me with atrial fibrillation. So now I had a new thing with my heart that I had to deal with and balance out with everything else that was going on in my life. And then in the summer of 2024, I was on amiodarone because that's the top drug they use for atrial fibrillation. But I was unlucky enough to get the toxicity that comes along with amiodarone. And this caused in me what's the radiologist called a constrictive bronchiolitis, which is like a bad asthma attack that doesn't go away. So at that point, I was having some real trouble with my breathing. I spent 10 days in Baptist Hospital here in Memphis, weaning off oxygen and taking my Xopenex and my Pulmicort. But when I got out of the hospital, I was very, very emaciated and weak. So I've had a long rebuilding period since then. As also as a doctor, I knew that aging people, I was 78 at the time, I'm 80 now, But I knew that aging people who experienced an illness that severe will also start into a downward spiral that'll end up in their death. So I was between a rock and a hard place in that sense. And that's when my friend Peter Gordon introduced me to LifeWave patches. He suggested the X39 and the Aeon patch because together they would really help me stop all the inflammation. Dis-ease, by the way, operates through inflammation. When you can stop inflammation, you can blunt the effect of just about any disease you have. So I started with the core level, and I was going to use these patches for at least 3 months to get a good chance to see what it would do. So I started feeling better. So what I was dealing with was inflammation in my lungs, and I was in need of healing from all that, and my muscle tone, and I needed some regeneration after the amiodarone toxicity, as this sort of takes it out of you. I also had some stress and tension. My circadian rhythm was all messed up. So I wasn't sleeping well at night. Um, so I started on the X39 for mental clarity and some sleep improvement. And that began to get better. So after a month, I felt better. I made the decision then to start using the X39 and the Aeon combination and some other patches that I was being introduced to. So I jumped up to the premium level and ordered X49 as well, the energy enhancer, the glutathione for my lungs and detoxification, and the carnosine patch for my heart and physical fitness. I also had weakness and loss of muscle tone. I had a lot of pain when I tried to do anything. Um, and I had an exercise intolerance. I just get short of breath when I try to do anything that amounted to anything that was going to generate some CO2. Then my doctor then sent me to physical therapy. Um, that's when I added the X49 patch to build exercise tolerance and muscle mass and to shorten my recovery time from exercise. In fact, one time when I went to physical therapy, I forgot to put my energy enhancer patch on. So I could barely do the exercises. So I demonstrated that the X49 patch used together with the energy patch does enhance physical performance by 30%. I learned it from the back door, but I did learn it. So anyway, I began to progress physically and to get my muscle tone back. And I was working on getting my sleep pattern back and get my circadian rhythm well. So in the meantime, I've gotten strong enough now to where I'm even starting to swing the golf club a little bit. So I've gotten some muscle tone and muscle mass and my old zip back, for which I'm very thankful. So I've had a total body makeover. And I'm taking my physical therapy now to a new level. So all my diseases and the diagnoses of those illnesses are still with me. But I am living as if I did not have those diseases as much. The diseases will follow me, but their effects are um, through inflammation. As the inflammation goes down and other things positively begin to take place through the regeneration provided by all these new stem cells that I've got floating around them. Anyway, it was very thankful for my friend Peter he introduced me to the LifeWave patches, and it's made a total change in my life.
And I think you said you are never going to stop wearing these patches till the Lord
No,
brings you home.
and I would suggest too that people who start on the patches to jump to the premium level and get enough patches to use for 6 months or more. And you can also get not only the X49, X39, and an Aeon patch and all these others, get some other patches along with it. Because the one thing I've learned is that the patches do what the patches are designed to do, and they all work the way they're supposed to work. And so I've had a complete body remake just by using these patches, and I'll use them all my life.